So at any rate, well, good morning, everybody. Nice to see you. I'm glad you brought the good weather to Washington. See, when you signed up for this conference, you did not think you were going to get to see the cherry blossoms, but you are. That's good. There's a lot of other people that spent money to come down here on bus trips and whatnot the last 2 weeks, and they did not see the cherry blossoms. So it's, driving in this morning, it was like they came out overnight. Last week was still a little bit chilly and overcast here, and so you guys brought the sunshine, so thank you very much. Let me also thank you for the excellent job that you continue to do in tough circumstances. And I like to say that when I do the videos on TV, because I truly feel that everybody needs to be thanked for the excellent work in the situation we find ourselves in. So, and especially as leaders of the organization, an extra special thank you to you. What I'd like to do this morning is talk to you a little bit about what's going on in terms of some positive news, and then give you some not so positive news around some mail volume, and then talk a little bit about some of the activities, and then take your questions, okay? So first of all, from a positive news standpoint, even within all of the doom and gloom and discussion about what's going to happen with the Postal Service and 6-to-5 day, et cetera, there are some bright spots. And you're seeing them if you're in a delivery unit, and you're seeing them if you are in a plant or in an NDC, and that's the package volume, and that's good. If you take a look at package volume in general, it's up. And when you take a look at package volume by customer, whether it's eBay or Amazon or QVC or some of the other big mailers, it's up substantially. And some other good news on the horizon is we will be introducing over the next couple of weeks new packaging and new options for priority mail, free insurance, along with the excellent visibility we're seeing now in the priority stream. And with that, and good stable prices over the next couple of years, we think that we will still see nice growth in that area, because there's a lot more e-commerce people, whether it's a small business, whether it's a smaller but not really small, 25 to 100 packages a day, and then some of the larger people. As we've been able to go out from a sales perspective, we've been able to get more and more people moving in that direction. That's good. It's based on, number one, the fact that we go to the house, and number two, that we are providing an excellent value for that price, and number three, with the visibility, that's excellent too. So from a package perspective, there is some good news, and that's something you guys need to be thinking about positively going forward from here. Some other things that aren't so bad. If you take a look at the commercial first class mail, it's been hanging steady now for a couple of years. That's good news. That is good news, but I will tell you, commercial first class is something that very similar to what we saw with bill payment online. You know, you are threatened consistently by people moving online banking, online statements from their mutual funds and insurance companies, and every time that you get anything in the mail from these companies, hey, they're trying to push people that way because it's a heck of a lot cheaper for them. But people have resisted. That's a good thing, because that hard copy in their hand is proof in many cases of a balance in an account. If there's some argument over some kind of a charge, that's good. And we've been able to maintain that, and we will continue, between the excellent service you're providing and good pricing, to hold that volume in the system. Third, advertising mail. We've been talking about advertising mail. It's hanging in there. The good thing is, if you take a look in the last 10 years, you can look 20 years for that matter, we have held the same 12% market share in the total ad space for mail, direct mail. That same spend, that percentage has never changed over the course of big increases with TV and cable, big increases with radio, the advent of the internet, and a lot of money getting moved towards digital spending. What's happened is a lot of that digital money is coming out of TV, it's coming out of radio, it's coming out of newspaper, newsprint, that type of thing. But people know the value of mail. The problem with the advertising has been the pie has shrunk. After the recession, that advertising pie that people spend money on dropped about 25%, and it's really not grown back. So what's happened is people move from newspaper into digital, and they haven't really increased the spend. But with direct mail, we've been able to hold that 12%. And you see some of customers this year, interestingly enough, in the ad mail world, customers that have not used us a lot for ad mail in the past are showing some pretty nice gains, and that's good news too. And we've got to consistently stay with that from a standpoint of keeping it affordable, okay? Affordability, no matter what anybody tells you, is number one with these guys. Number one with an exclamation point. If they want to get something to somebody's house quickly, or if they want to get something to somebody and barrage them with an email, they'll spend the money on the email. But they know that direct mail is trackable and that it's actionable as long as it hits within the time frame that they're looking at. Most of these guys are trying to get Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday as the advertising cycle, and that's what they're aiming at, okay? So those are three really bright spots going in the organization. And take heart in that, because there's been a lot of work in there from a standpoint of good service on your part, sales efforts on people in this room, and it has turned into a positive story for the bottom line. Now, I'm not going to stand up here and tell you all is well. You may want to hear that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to level with you. All is not well. We still have substantial pressure with the loss of single-piece first-class mail. This year we're going to lose about at least 3 billion pieces out of the first-class stream that way. We have lost 60% of that volume over the last 10 years. And so you hear people saying, well, this is just a healthcare issue, or the internet hasn't affected the Postal Service. They're not telling the truth. They are not telling the truth. It has affected us, and we've got to react to it. And we are reacting, and that's why we're making some of the changes that we're making. That's why we're making the changes, and we'll have to continue to make some changes. Because if you take a look ahead, probably at the end of the week we'll have the business plan out, updated, all the updated numbers from the first one, big one that we put out last year. And when you look at that, what it says is this: there's about 20 billion pieces of single-piece first-class mail left in the system. That was from a high of about 52 billion in the year 2003. But with bill payment and other diversions of that volume, we think that there's probably another 10 billion that will come out of the system over the course of the next few years. I mean, it hasn't let up. And if you take 10 billion times the 46-cent stamp that a person puts on there, and maybe 47 cents next year, it's almost $5 billion of revenue that goes directly to the bottom line. So you have to deal with that. This year, if we were, through legislation, given the ability to walk away from the pre-funding, we would be in a situation where we'll still lose $1.7 billion. That's because of the loss in volume that has substantial contribution. Single-piece first class is the most profitable mail that we have. Commercial first class is the second most profitable. And as those volumes change, you have to deal with it. You have to deal with it. And so that's why we continue with the consolidations. That's why we continue to push for delivery changes, 6 to 5. There's a lot of people say, well, you changed your story. You want to deliver packages on Saturday. Yes, we do, because it's growing. I want to deliver packages on Sunday. We will start in some cities delivering packages on Sunday. You'll see it when it happens. There are customers right now that are very interested in that. And those are customers that we've got to embrace and hold on to and never let them get away from us. Because there's definite opportunities in that going forward. So we will continue with the post plan. We will continue with the consolidations. We will eventually get to the 6 to 5, whether it's on our own means or whether we end up with it congressionally from a bill that gets passed. We have the Board of Governors in this week to make some decisions based on the last actions that were taken in Congress, and we'll deal with that. But let me say this to you. It is the right thing to do. And another thing that we've got to do is work through from a plan perspective so that we don't deluge people with mail on Monday. That's going to have to happen. That has to happen. But the reason it's an issue today, much more so than it was 5 years or especially 10 years ago, is because the same people in the mailing industry, namely the big printers like Donnelly, like Quad Graphics, like Brown or Randall, They're faced with the same financial issues we're faced with. So what do? They squeeze cost. When they squeeze cost, that means they're printing and consolidating and trying to pre-sort as much mail as they can. And today, 55% of all of our standard flats and periodicals show up in your plants on Friday. That's why you get these gigantic volumes of mail. And with service standards we deliver them on Monday. And that's a major issue. We're going to have to work with the industry to try to resolve that. Because even as we move past the Saturday delivery, we've got to smooth it out so that A, the carriers are back at a reasonable time, and B, that we're not spending tons of penalty overtime and things like that. So that's going to happen. There are some places that have been working through that and done a great job with it. We'll continue to make some of those changes as we go through over the course of the next couple of years. Bottom line is this: if you look ahead, eventually a lot of the problem volume in terms of single piece will flatten out. It will level out to a certain point, and that's a good news story. And we'll have taken the costs out that are associated with that. But the key thing for us is to work on focusing on what we can grow in this business. That's why I am adamant. That's why I continue to push like crazy for postal legislation. We need to get this postal legislation resolved, get this stuff behind us, and focus on this organization and this industry going forward in a very positive way. That's what has to happen. The longer this thing drags on, the more concern that you have from big companies like Citibank, JP Morgan, Bank of America. You take those big banks and add their volume up, it's $2.5 to $3 billion worth of revenue. You do not want $2.5 to $3 billion customers worrying about your future with every year that goes by, and there's lack of action on the legislative issues that need to be resolved in this Congress. That's why we will continue to press, we will continue to be in the front page trying to move this thing, because it is a responsible thing to do. We are part of a very important industry in this United States. We represent a tremendous way for small businesses to grow, for big businesses to reach your customers, for the American citizen to receive bills, pay bills, big companies to send packages, small companies, and all of us to receive them. And you cannot guarantee that that system stays in place unless we have a good, solid financial back going forward, and we've got to do that. The goal is to get to a $62 to $63 billion cost base with a $65 billion revenue stream, pay the debt down, get ourselves debt-free in the next 3 or 4 years so that we go into the year 2020 where, who knows, you don't know what's going to happen by the time you get to 2020 or 2030. But if you're in excellent shape from a standpoint of no debt and strong finances and cash in the bank, that sets this organization up as a good place for people to work sitting in this room for the next 20 to 30 years. That's my goal. That is my goal. My goal is to have a good, solid postal service for the American citizen and a good place for people to work. It is not my goal to cater or cave in to special interests who want things just their way and the heck with everybody else. I won't do that. And that's what we're going to focus on going forward. So over the course of the next couple weeks, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing some postal legislation. We'll be front and center with our views out there. It's critical that we do that. You don't want it. In 2006, we weren't strong enough, and we didn't have the financial information in front of us that should have pushed for a different outcome to that bill. We have it this time, and I will not back off and say, okay, I'll take it this way, understanding that things might get better. If you take a look at legislation and how slowly things happen in this United States, and from a legislative perspective, we need to get this thing fixed once and for all, get the negative news behind us, and worry about growing this organization for all of us and the industry and the American public going into the future. And so with that, again, let me just say thank you very much. You do an excellent job day in and day out. I am very proud of you and very thankful that you come into work every day and be the leaders that you are. So with that, let me take any questions you've got. Any questions you have?
Prior to the PMG taking any questions, I'd like to make a small presentation to one of our members. At this time, the National Association of Postal Supervisors proudly present this award to Mr. Kevin Trayer, Michiana Area Vice President and a member of Kalamazoo Branch 142, in recognition of his courageous act of heroism on January the 3rd, 2013, that saved the life of a fellow postal employee. Thank you for your unselfish commitment to show how one person can make a difference. Presented this day, 8th day of April 2013, to Mr. Kevin Trayer.